Well, welcome back to episode 2 of the Mudroom, the Aborn Powers podcast for all things real estate.
Yes, the catch-all.
Catch-all.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you missed episode 1, we talk about the origin story, the Marvel origin story of this podcast.
That's right.
Superhero in the making.
I like that.
I don't know why I went there.
Yeah.
I had
You're going to
Marvel
get me
on the
wanting to
mind.
talk about Marvel now.
No, stop. Put a pin in it right now.
3 hours later,
We'll literally
Dan, we got to
be
start the
nighttime.
podcast.
You guys didn't
Oh,
talk
and
about real estate at all.
You almost can't bring up origin
You
story
can't.
and not think superhero.
Right.
Right.
Because nobody wants the origin story of their mailman or the police officer around the corner.
That would be amazing, though.
Yeah, the clerk at the gas station. Nobody cares about his origin story. If you haven't been dipped in acid or been
bit
shot
by a
with
spider.
gamma rays, or
Yes.
bit by a spider, your origin story doesn't quite matter as much.
Yeah. Kind of,
Yeah, we got bit by. What would you be bit by in real estate to become the real estate superhero
A paper cut.
brokerage? Paper cut
A
from all
paper
the
cut.
documents,
Yeah.
maybe.
From all the commission
Yeah.
checks you're
That's
making.
right.
Checks you're
I would
making.
say
That's
that there
right.
has to be some kind of aura that comes from the computer screen that soaks into your.
The blue light just gets into your bloodstream and you become a marketing genius.
Yeah,
I love
that
it.
would be amazing.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
I'm waiting on that to happen.
Yeah.
So, you've heard 2 new voices. We've got a very special episode planned today. We're talking about new versus veteran real estate agents.
And all the stories in between.
All the stories in between, all the experiences. It kind of is an origin story episode.
You know what?
because
You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of it is going to be origin stories.
Yeah.
So let's just introduce our guest. Dan, do you want to share who's here with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we have Daniel Kraus, who
How we
has
doing, boys?
been a realtor here at Aborn Powers Real Estate now since February of 24, so only a few months in the making. And he's got a cool story to share, a little bit about how he kind of got into it. And then we have a more veteran agent who has been a realtor here at Aborn Powers Real Estate now for about 3 years, been working for Aborn for 5.
Right. Correct.
And you've got a kind of cool story because it is amazing the different ways in which people get into real estate. And there are memes plenty
Right.
of it's the last thing that someone decided to do.
Yes. Yeah.
My last option.
They failed at whatever,
Yes.
and now they got their real estate license. But that is so not the case. I'm passionate about real estate. I love real estate. There's a lot of reasons why I got into it. I had a full-time career that I honestly thought I was going to be doing forever before getting into real estate. So it wasn't like something that didn't work. Let's
Yeah.
try real estate.
Right.
No, I got into it because I heard a lot. I've seen a lot. There were people close to me in my family who were doing it, who hearing their stories was always amazing. So anyway, it's fun to hear the ways in which people get into real estate, which I'm excited to hear you guys share.
Right.
And hopefully our listeners get to hear. And if anybody's out there in the podcast world that, thought, there was one way to get into real estate and or the different avenues in which you can get into there and what it takes to get into real estate. Hopefully this makes it a lot more simple. It's less complicated, less scary, and more of something that you feel like you can really jump into.
Because you got into it at a
rough
great
time. I don't know about great. I was naive. I didn't realize the world I was getting into, at least the time of the world that I was getting into when I chose to get into real estate. But a little bit about, my story, my origin story, which I'm loving that we're talking about. The
Look
origin
what you've
story.
created.
I'm sorry.
This is fantastic. But the origin story of Dan Kraus. So as you can tell, Daniel Kraus is my oldest son who got into real estate. But my origin story, Dan DTM, Dan the man, the only DTM Kraus.
All right.
Has gotten into real estate I was actually a full-time mechanic. I was an automotive mechanic. I actually I graduated high school, and my plan, I felt called into the ministry. So as a youth pastor, I wanted to, I have had some really amazing influences in my life. And I felt like getting into youth ministry and helping other youth was a call on my life. So I did that. But at the same time, one of my passions was cars. I love cars. And so I got into the automotive world early and bounced around to a couple different shops. And I thought for sure where I landed was going to be where I retired. They took really good care of their employees. There was a lot of growth opportunities. They paid well. I'm like, you know what? This is it. I get to do this, and I get to be a youth pastor, and perfect. But as I was getting older, which tends to happen, we all get older. I was married. I had a couple kids, and physically, it was very taxing to be in the automotive industry. It still is. All those mechanic guys you see working in the shop, trust me, they're taking a beating sometimes. And in the suspension world, as far as the shop I was working in, doing custom lift kits and lowering kits and suspension work, you're really taking a beating. And it was at that point that I had to ask myself some questions. I had to ask myself, is this something I can do until I'm 55 or 60?
Right. Yeah.
And am I going to enjoy it as much? Because I was already losing interest. I had hot rods in my garage that I didn't want to come home and work on anymore because I just was losing that passion for it. It was a job.
You were like the chef that didn't want to come home and cook.
Right,
anymore.
exactly. Yeah, I'll just pop some Pop-Tarts rather than make my...
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I get it.
And then my father-in-law, who is and still is a realtor, being engaged to my wife for as long as we were, my wife and I have been together, married for 25, together for 28. So obviously I got to know her family really well, and hearing all his stories about working with people, helping them buy and sell homes, and just the reward that I heard of that type of profession, I was thinking to myself, well, maybe real estate, the sales part wasn't appealing to me as much, but maybe I could help people get into the finance side, help them get pre-approved, help them get the finances for it. So my angle was I was getting my real estate license to go into being a mortgage lender. And I did that for about 2 years. And to all you mortgage lenders out there that find fun in this, I did not find fun in this. Right. I loved working with people, but just being in the office and just working the numbers and collecting data and documents. And I know that's not all that they do, but it just wasn't enough for me. So then I talked to my father-in-law and asked if I could just move my license to the brokerage and just start real estate, just start selling homes. So that's what I did, and it was a different time. It was 2007. So as you all know,
prime real estate,
things kind of went downhill pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I remember my broker saying, "Hey, if you can make it through this, you're going to make it through anything. You'll be just fine." I didn't really know what he meant because I didn't really know what was going on. The whole aspect of the things that were going to take place and home values and mortgages being defaulted on and foreclosures and stuff like that. I had a lot to learn really quick.
Yeah.
So that was a tough thing. But I did find out as years went on, and then now being able to, I was there for quite a while. I learned everything really. I learned a lot from him in the regards to how things get done contractually and stuff like that. But as far as how to get your clients, how to get build your database, how to market yourself and to really succeed, man, those were some hard-learned lessons early, which is why, leading to where we're at now at Aborn Powers, when I was offered to come on over here as an agent, it just blew my mind away on about the different tools and support systems that are out there. The most important thing to me that I learned in moving over here, and again, giving credit to the previous broker, I learned a lot, but there was a point where I knew I needed a little bit more. And at Aborn, it was very eye-opening to see how important support is. Which is why now as a director at Aborn Powers and recruiting and training agents, support is always going to come out of my mouth. It's just in my heart because I now know the difference. As much as could be supported in a small brokerage to what I was experiencing at Aborn, man, support it changed the game for me in sales. It changed the game for me what I thought I could do and accomplish in real estate. So to anybody listening out there, I'd say as you start to hear from Daniel and from Bill, and we continue to talk about the introductions into real estate, the origin stories thereof, support. I mean, finding a team team that really you can collaborate with and work with and get knowledge and experience from. Really, really key in seeing long-term success in your career. So, yeah, that's my origin story. I got into real estate. I love people. I love the process. I love negotiating.
Yep.
I get to do that kind of what do they say? I'm living vicariously through a lot of our agents.
Yeah.
You know, because as you
sure.
guys are working on things and negotiations are happening, and I'm like, I feel like I'm a part of it still, because that's a part I do miss a little bit. I love showing homes, believe it or not. I love walking through them. I love dissecting what people have done in their homes, and I've seen some interesting.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some interesting homes, as you guys all have too, I'm sure. And so that part was just fun. And so it is a fun industry. It's an easy industry to get passionate about, especially when you know you're helping people.
You got to find your why, right?
Yeah, you got
Exactly.
There you go. Yeah,
It's-
absolutely. Bill.
It's
Yeah.
it's something I learned a long time ago when I worked for ServPro when they talked about the why, and that
Yeah.
stuck with me forever. That little piece of why do you do what you do? If it's just for the money,
Yeah.
get out.
Yep.
Exactly.
If you're literally just in it just for money, whatever it is,
Yeah.
whether you're a mechanic,
Yeah.
a school teacher, if the only thing you're looking at is the bottom line and the dollar sign,
Right.
run. You're in big trouble. You're going to be miserable.
Absolutely.
That the motto of money does not buy happiness is 1,000% true. I kind of got started late in life. I didn't know what I wanted to do. When I was young, I wanted to do music, which to make it in music and to actually make a living is like your odds are like hitting the lotto. Like you may as well be just going out and playing the numbers on the Mega Millions
Right.
because your chances of, getting the record deal, which really isn't even a thing anymore, and having a hit on the radio and making money and touring and actually getting to that point is slim to none. But so I worked a lot of restaurant work, a lot of just jobs, not careers, like the grind, like what I was talking about. It was just the money. So that the money funded my passion, which was to do music. So, 3 or 4 days a week, we'd have rehearsals. We would do shows in little bars on the weekends. But I wasn't making any money, and we were just spinning our wheels at a certain point. And the older you get, the less that becomes real. So I needed to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, and I had no clue. I knew I didn't want to work in restaurants. Everybody was like, "You've been at this restaurant forever. You should own it." And I was like, "Not on your life. There isn't a chance ever."
I've heard a lot of people say that.
Never. I've watched what these owners go through, restaurant work.
Yeah.
So much respect to people that run or own a restaurant. There's no way. I would never want it. That would never. You couldn't pay me enough. There's no why there at all.
There's no why.
At all. So I had to figure out really quickly what I wanted to do with myself, and I had no idea. And ServPro, a restoration company, was looking for a sales marketing rep. They were a new branch because they're all independently owned and operated branches. They were in El Dorado Hills. And I said, well, in the restaurants, I've learned one thing. I know I can talk to people. I like people. So maybe sales. And I went in and I talked with these guys, and I said, listen, I don't know anything about restoration. They said, don't worry about it. We can teach you that. But we can tell that you know how to talk to people. You're in. If you're in, we want to hire you. And I did it, and I actually liked it. It was route sales. So I was in the car every day, at least seeing 12 insurance. I did talk to insurance agents and property managers were my main people that I spoke with. And I liked it. I liked getting to know them. I took them to lunch. I did lunch and learns. I went out and did chamber events. And I was like, this is pretty cool. I like marketing. I like this. But unfortunately, they were an upstart company. And, they promised 401ks eventually when they got settled in. They promised health benefits, and 4 years and nothing was happening.
Right.
And it's a tough grind. You're waiting basically for somebody to have a flood or a fire or something catastrophic to happen to their home. And so there were a lot of dry spells where I had a salary, but it was very small. And then waiting on the commissions was tough. But I really enjoyed the work. But one of the offices that I would market to, because we were in El Dorado Hills, so we had the 50 corridor, was Aborn Powers. So I came in here and got to know the HR and got to know the young lady that worked at the front desk very personally. Once a month.
Right.
I was like, a steady drip. I came in once a month. I didn't want to bug you, but I didn't want you to forget about me either. So it was once a month, like clockwork, I popped by with Cracker Jacks and pens and notepads, whatever I was giving out at the time, candy, whatever it was. and really got to know these ladies. And at the time, Kathy Lacey
Yes.
was HR, and I became very close with her. I love her to death. She's amazing. No longer with us, but she's great. One day out of
She's
the blue.
still alive.
Oh, she's
She's
still
no longer with
alive. No, yeah,
Aborn.
sorry.
She's
She's
also-
I was like, all right, moment of silence.
Yeah, no. But I'm
geez.
no longer with the company. I'm glad you stopped that.
Yeah,
'cause I
good.
could've been
Nice.
bad. No, she's awesome.
For clarification.
She's healthy. She's doing well. I mean, I haven't spoken with her in a while, but I assume she's great. Anyway, she called me one day out of the blue and said, "Man, we're hiring for a business development manager, and I really like the way you handle yourself when you come in. I think you'd be great at it. Would you like to interview?" And absolutely. So I set up the interview, did the interview, and it came down between me and one other guy. So I actually came back for a second interview. It was pretty nerve-wracking.
Right.
Because and they actually ended up going with the other guy who had more experience as a business development manager. But they still liked me enough to say, "Listen, we need a property manager. You can get your foot in the door in property management. If the business development management position opens up down the line, you can do it." So I property managed here for 2 years, and as a property manager in California, you have to have your real estate
Yes, you
license. So I got my real estate license, and immediately everybody starts asking, "When are you going to sell real estate? When are you going to sell real estate?" And I'm like, "I'm not.
Yeah, I just had to get this.
I'm not. I'm not walking away from my salary." At that time, what I didn't think about is, why am I not doing real estate and being a property manager? No one ever stopped me and said, "You could do that, Bill. You could do that." I'm thinking I had to abandon everything. I had no idea at that moment that was an option, that I could have my foot in both worlds. That's different. That's a whole nother story. But anyway, so I'm like, I'm not. I'm just a property manager. I had to have it. Well, it turns out the business development management role opened up. I moved over and realized again how much I love sales. I liked doing what I was doing. But what Aborn realized is that position wasn't really beneficial. It wasn't cost effective. So what they did was the property managers absorbed that role.
Yep.
They needed to just save funds, which I get, save money. And that's when they said, "But look, we need real estate agents." At that point, we had several agents that kind of moved on, jumped ship. We were in the early
We changed
stages.
a couple programs.
Yeah, and it was like, I think he maybe at the time had only 1 or 2 agents
We
on
only had
board.
2, yeah.
And it was a scary proposition because at that point, the reason I came to Aborn was health benefits, retirement, and you walk away from all that, and it scared me to death. I mean, terrified
You
me.
didn't show it. You seem pretty confident.
I talked to you. I had a long talk with you, which
Yeah.
made me feel better. I had a long talk with Lauren, which made me feel better. Then I went home and had a long talk with my wife. And Lauren was kind enough to say, "Tell you what, I know this is a huge shock to your system. We'll let you keep your salary for a month." To get you some footing.
Yeah.
You keep your property management salary for a month, which is incredible. No one does that.
That's
Right.
awesome.
Absolutely phenomenal. Just to give you some cushion, a little comfort zone, so you can hit the ground running.
Yeah.
W. Lauren.
Do what you got to do. Amazing. Like, absolutely. I can't imagine any brokerage doing that.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. And so that was phenomenal because that gave me that extra, like, okay, I've got a tiny bit of money in the bank. This is going to keep a little bit more. I basically had like 2 months where I could like, all right, we can hit the ground running and do this. So I made the jump because I loved sales and I wanted to stick with sales and I loved this company.
Yeah.
From property management up through business development management up into real estate. You said it, the support.
Yeah.
The support has always been there from day one. Property management is probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done. You never make anybody happy, and it's a massive learning curve. Yes,
amen.
Daniel knows. He was there. It's a huge learning curve. I made some massive mistakes, and Aborn rolled with me and supported me the whole time. And then when I moved into business development management, I had so much help from the property managers as far as marketing the properties, getting information on the properties, talking with the owners. There was so much support there. And then no different when I moved over to real estate. I always felt like someone had my back, mainly you, being my mentor, but I never felt alone ever from day one. It's been 5 years.
Yeah.
I've never felt alone at Aborn. I've always felt like someone's had my back. There's someone there I can talk to.
Absolutely.
Whether it's a property manager, whether it's another real estate agent, whether it's you, whether it's Lauren. I've never felt like for a moment, even when I've made some huge faux pas and some nasty mistakes, like, yes, it was a problem, but it was dealt with and it was learned from it and we moved on. And I love it. My main regret now is that I'm sorry I started so late.
Yeah.
So sorry that I didn't do what you're doing, Daniel. That I didn't jump right. I wish I could go back and Back to the Future it.
Right.
And go talk to young
Well, I've
Bill.
said that. When I recruit, it's like the only thing I wish I knew then what I knew now.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean,
100%. Yeah. If I could go back and talk to young Bill, his senior year in 1993, and be like, jump into this now while you live at home with your parents.
Right.
While you've got a safety net.
Yeah.
While you can just hit the ground running, market, push yourself, put yourself out there. And at this point now, where I am now in 2024, I'd be golden.
Yeah.
There would be no question in my mind that I would be sitting pretty, just riding off my client base and my
referrals,
referrals,
relationships, and
because that's the thing. Every real estate agent I've ever talked to has told me, and I've had several conversations with successful real estate agents, told me, you're looking at 5 to 10 years to get to that point, and probably lean more towards 10.
Yep.
And so, and I'm 3 in, and I'm happy with the success I've had.
Yeah, you've had some success, my
with
friend.
three, but I love it. I enjoy it. This company is amazing, and that's really my only regret is that I didn't do it sooner. That's
a good word.
That's the only regret I have. I have no regrets coming into real estate. Is it easy? No, but nothing is.
No, nothing is.
Amen.
And I think those are some of the myths and or things that I think is fun for us to be able to talk about around this table, is that it isn't an 8 to 5 job. You're not clocking in, and then at the end of the day, you look back and go, well, I made X amount. No, you're working your days to build relationship, build a database, build connections, to where those then turn into showings and or listings, and then transactions close. You have to look at your success differently,
right?
Which is, I think, the hardest thing for a lot of folks. You come from an 8 to 5 job, because they're looking at the end of the day, looking back, what did I make? It's a different type of success that you're hoping to accomplish every day. What did I add to the value of my own business? Because here's the thing, guys, real estate, yes, you work for a brokerage supports you, is there with you, as Bill mentioned, but it's your individual career that you're building. Right. And if you're starting a career, you're starting a job, you're putting everything you got into it. Right. You want to, the whole sit back and wait for it to come to you is not an option.
No.
It does not work in real estate.
No.
Yeah.
So the nightmares that you might hear about, or the stories that you hear from folks where it didn't work, it's usually, you can wrap it up in a couple different questions. Hey, well, when you were doing it, since it didn't work, what was your process? Well, I got my license, and, I was sitting at my desk, and, 3 months went by and no one called. It's like, well, how many mailers, how many phone calls, how many network, how many relationships are you building? What are you doing to build your career? And I will say the ones who have the answers to those questions are the ones that I've seen successful. Bill, you're being modest, but I'm just going to say you are successful because of that hard work you put in. You jumped right in, and you did not hesitate. Like, you started creating a plan for yourself. You started doing mailers, phone calls. You did all the not so glamorous things that you do when you're building a business, any business, let alone real estate. And you saw the success, and so you are like the staple, like the poster child. Just so you know, when I recruit people and I talk about what you have to do to make it work, because you're right. People come in and they go, "Well, I'll be a real estate mogul in 1 year." I hope you are.
That would be amazing.
That'd be amazing. But and you can have a measure of success in a year, in a short time, depending on the work you put into it.
Sure.
And man, you did a lot. You actually, just make sure I'm saying that for 2 years running now, you have made top achiever in El Dorado County.
Yeah.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row. Yeah.
And just so you guys know out there that are thinking about getting your license, what that means is you have to sell 10 transactions, and it has to be a total over $3 million worth of sales.
Right.
And you did that in your first year.
Right. Yeah. A lot of help. I had a lot of help.
Of course.
Yeah.
But that's again, going back to
that
your
goes back
success
to the
is your support.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
the team that you picked to be around.
Right.
And then, it's one of those things where you can have all the support, even because I'm just going to say this, there's a lot of support given. You can get all the tools.
Right.
And, just going to the metaphor of automotive, I can give you a whole tool set of Snap-on tools that are worth $1 million in that toolbox.
Right.
You don't pick one up, they do no good.
Right. Absolutely.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
You're not putting that car together in hopes and dreams.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you had the tools. You were given the support and you ran with it.
Yeah.
And I would say to any person thinking about getting into real estate or is in real estate and wondering why it's not working for them, those are the things that you guys need to consider.
Huge.
Yeah.
And it goes back to the why. Like,
Yeah.
if you absolutely hate, like, listen, no one loves cold calling or mailers or email
Right.
campaigns.
Right.
But if that's just going to be the drudge of your existence, if you get up and just, it's like I doing mailers. I put on a podcast. I sit and just, I
Absolutely.
listen to music. It's
Yeah.
really not that bad.
Right.
And even the cold calling, we discussed it in
Yes.
one of our meetings. The fear of, it's not the cold call itself. It's not difficult.
Right.
It's just what's this person? How are they going to react on the other
How are they going to
end?
receive you?
And
Yep.
listen, a lot of times they don't answer and you leave a voicemail, or the worst case scenario, they hang up most
Right.
of the time. And you know, if they hang up on you or tell you don't ever call me again, take me off your list, you do that. You scratch them off the list. It's just that moment of what's about to happen.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And it really isn't that bad. But listen, if you're like, oh my God, I hate this is the worst. I hate it. Don't be a real estate agent. I'll say that. I'm going to tell you that right now. Like,
Know yourself. Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it's necessary.
Yeah.
It's absolutely necessary. When I see people who are like, when I have conversations, and I would never name names, but they're like, I just don't like the cold calling, and boy, the mailers are tough, and I don't like to see myself in videos, so I'm not going to do the social media thing. In my head, I'm going, get out.
Yeah.
Get out now.
Run for the hills.
Go find something else to do with yourself, because this isn't it.
Yeah.
This is, it's that simple. Find what you love.
Yeah.
And you have to, that's a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, more power to these agents that don't have to do that anymore. You have to get to a point, but I'm sorry, I don't see that being anytime soon for me.
No, I agree with you 100%, Bill. And to the agents who have found their niche, here's the thing: there's lots of avenues in the marketing as far as how we market ourselves, right?
Right.
Things that we're strong at. And those are the things that we're strong at. We try to leverage those to the best of our ability. The things we're a little weaker at, hopefully we get a little bit of coaching and support to maybe do enough to make them viable. But at the end of the day, yeah, even the things you're strong at, if you're just not going to do them,
Right.
then it's just not going to. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right?
Figure out a job where it's something that every job has things you have to do, but you need to find the job where you enjoy those things, or you're just not going like, oh, I can't. This is awful.
And I kind of love the fact that we're kind of migrating this conversation to some of the to-dos and the day-to-day of a real estate agent. Because what's funny, I tell recruits or people who are thinking about getting into real estate, I said, okay, just so you know, you're getting your license, and we're gonna teach you in-house all the contracts and the how-tos and the negotiating and stuff. That's gonna be about 10% of your life.
Right. Yeah.
90%, if not more, is going to be you marketing yourself.
Yeah.
And if you don't feel like that is, if you can't do that, if that's not exciting to you, now you might not be, like you said, the camera, which doesn't matter. Like you said, you're gonna have to do it anyway. You might not be this, that, or the other, but if you can train yourself, coach yourself, if you can whatever yourself, to get into that, you have to at least come to grips with the fact that 90% of your career in real estate is marketing yourself.
Absolutely. There's
100%.
always going to be aspects. I don't care what your job is. Listen, I hear actors. I'm sure Tom Cruise, there's things he hates about getting up in the morning and going to the movie set. We all look at that and go, wow, what an amazing job. And he's like, oh my God, I got to fall off of a building today, or whatever it is. I don't know what
drive
it
a
is.
motorcycle off
You
the
actually
cliff.
might love that.
Yeah,
Actually.
he probably likes that. But most of them say they hate the interviews. Like
Yeah,
when they're promoting
they
a
do.
movie and they have to answer the same question over and
Right.
over
Oh,
and over and over. Like, so what was it like jumping that motorcycle? How scared were you when you did that? And he's like, okay, this is
That
the
was cool as a
millionth
cucumber.
time I've answered this. I'm sure he hates that, but it's worth it to him to be an actor.
Because if the payoff is what
Yeah.
you're looking for, like,
Yeah.
and not the payoff in the monetary sense, but the payoff of, man, I love helping people find and buy and sell homes. Like
Yeah.
that, I love that.
Absolutely.
I love this
And in
relationship.
order to do that,
Yep.
I'm
You have
going to
to
cold call. I'm going to
Yes.
do mailers. I'm
Yes.
going to do emails.
Yes.
I'm going to go to chamber events. I'm going to create social
Yep.
media videos, because that allows me to continue to be successful enough to do what I love.
Absolutely.
But if you hate that stuff that much, then I say go find something that you really do love.
It's a good word.
Yeah.
It's a
Dan,
good
you
word.
mentioned this in the real estate meeting that we just had, is that you need to have marketing equity.
Yeah.
And it's just like in real estate, when you build equity, then you're gaining more value.
Yep.
I was
It's
just about
exactly
to touch on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly what you're explaining, Bill.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
everything you do is adding to that
It's
equity.
adding, and you have to look at it that way.
Yeah.
It is not in vain. If you're doing it consistently, if you've developed a plan in real estate and you've got a great support team and staff around you, and you implement it in a consistent basis, it is adding. Your equity is being built in your career. It's going to pay off.
Even though you might not see it there in the beginning, I mean, you will see it at some point. the
Absolutely.
return.
Absolutely. And to quote one of my favorite realtors out there, Ryan Serhan, if you're listening, we'd love a
Wouldn't that be something?
that would be awesome.
That'd be amazing.
But he says, and I love it, he says, but going back to the things of whether you're not good at them or you're scared of them or you don't want to do them, it's no one really knows what they're doing. Some people just do it anyway. And I love that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
it goes back to if you're trying to get to the part that you love, if the why is I love helping people, I love community, I love helping people get into their first home, second home, investment home, or build their portfolio, or just whatever that is, if that's something you're passionate about, then we just kind of figure out all these other things along the way.
That's so
Right.
true. You just have to jump in and do it. Because if you wait till you're like a master or perfect or you feel like you know everything, you'll never do
You'll
it.
never do it.
You'll never like if I had waited, like the moment they said I had my license and I was set up in the system, I started the mailers and the cold calling.
Yeah.
And there were times where I'd get a question and be like covering up the
Yeah.
receiver. Hey Dan, you know what? if they do this, what do I do? And he'd answer, and I'd go, so you know what
Sorry,
you're gonna
bad
wanna
internet
do-
connection there.
What you're gonna want to do there is, yeah, man. If you wait, I learn every transaction. I learn something.
Absolutely.
I'm blown away
Yeah.
by like that around every corner. There's something I had no clue about.
Right.
And I'm just like, wow, that can happen? Oh, whoa, okay. That's interesting. Well, not going to do that again. Or, you know,
Yeah.
I learned from every listing, every escrow. So if I would have waited, I'd be at $0 right now. 3 years in, I'd be at $0.
That's a good word right there,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'd nothing if I would have waited. So,
Yeah.
man, it's you just got to immerse yourself in it. You're going to learn so quickly by just diving in. Just jump off into the cold plunge and do it, because that's how I just all of a sudden you start. Oh, that's how that works. You'll figure it out, and you just you have to play it off. You're an expert, whether you've been in it one day or 10 years.
Yeah.
Yep.
You always present yourself as the expert. If somebody said something that I wasn't sure about, I'd say, you know what, that is a great question. I want to be able to research that a little more and really get that info that you need. Let me get back to you on that.
Absolutely.
Love it.
And then I'd go, Dan, I have no clue what these people are talking about. Can you help me with this? Yeah. But it's so true about what you said about just jumping in and doing it. You got to do it. You don't wait. Just go. If you got your license and you're in a great brokerage and you're comfortable, then that's it.
I love that.
Start running
Yep.
at it.
I love it. That's so fun.
Daniel.
Bill, how we doing?
Yeah, I think we sidetracked a little on the origin story.
No, I
man.
love that.
Yeah. No, this
Now
is
it's
great.
my turn.
This is great conversations, but I'm curious to get the origin story of someone new just getting in,
Why,
in the
yes.
business.
Yes. So growing up, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. As a kid, as soon as my dad switched over to the real estate side of things, I was instantly hooked. So I asked to go to all of his open houses pretty much. I went and toured a lot of properties with his buyers, like as a kid, and immediately fell in love with like the exploring of real estate. I loved getting to see all the different types of ways people build houses and watching my dad kind of help them achieve his clients' goals and seeing how happy they were and all that. So I really found joy in that. And I knew that's kind of what I wanted to pursue. I'd say I chose to be a real estate agent probably around sophomore year. High school is what I wanted to do. So I knew that's what after high school, I needed to get in that as soon as possible.
Yeah.
After I graduated, I pretty much so right after my senior trip to Hawaii, I got a call from my dad. He's like, "Hey, Lauren just told me that she wants to offer you a job, and would you like to do an interview?" I was like, "Oh, geez, I didn't know it was that soon, but yeah, let's do that. What does that entail?"
Yeah.
So I called Lauren, and she's like, "Yeah, we're looking for a leasing coordinator position in property management." I said, "What is that?"
Yeah.
But I said, "Sure, yeah, let's do it. I'll come for an interview." So I was not expecting to work, by the way, the first day that I got here.
Right.
After my interview, they're like, yeah, okay, you got it. You want to go work for 4 hours? I said, oh, all right, sure.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I worked 4 hours immediately
day
right
one.
after my interview. And you want to talk about feeling like you got driven out on a boat in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and just got dropped to see if you could swim
Yeah.
back to shore?
Yeah.
That's exactly how I felt like. I mean, I was immediately calling people. I was immediately learning how to build leases and all that. And that was, I mean, I was very stressed out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I tried to keep my cool for most of the time
I think you
learning
handled
that.
yourself
So,
well. Yeah, you handled it well. Yeah.
but again, I feel like that was the opportunity I needed to get my foot in the door in real estate and feel like I can do this because I got to learn how to communicate with people, negotiate a little bit. I wasn't, really allowed to like negotiate numbers and stuff like that, but I was able to negotiate a little bit by just kind of advising owners like, this is what the market's doing.
Yeah.
This is what usually people are doing in the rental market when it comes to lowering prices and stuff like that or raising prices. I got to learn how to show property to clients. So basically, anytime people wanted to go look at a rental property, I'd go open it up for them. I'd treat it as an open house myself. So I'd get there 30 minutes before. I wanted to make sure I was ready with my information. And I treated it like an open house. I would give them all the information. I didn't just open the door and turn the lights on and let them walk through. I wanted to really practice that aspect of being a real estate agent. And the more I did that, the more I fell in love with it even more. So I was very excited to start getting my license. So I'd say about halfway through my first year in the leasing department, I started taking my courses to do my test. Took me a long time to do my courses. I kind of lollygagged a little bit because, working I'm a big procrastinator, guys. So finally got my courses done. And then the fun part of, scheduling your test.
Yes.
I scheduled my test. I was so confident. I was ready to go get my test and immediately start selling houses. Took my test. It's about a 3-hour test, so I was, sweating like crazy. I just wanted to get it over with. So I got done, and then unfortunately I failed. So that was very discouraging, but I knew that a lot of people don't pass on their first try. It's kind of hard to do. So I was like, okay, I got it next time. All right. I scheduled it for I think a week after I failed my first one. I go take it again. I'm like, I'm going to get, the same questions. It's going to be nice.
It's gonna be
I
nice.
studied the ones that I feel like I got wrong and had no clue about.
Yeah.
And then I go in there and it was a completely different version of the test. And I was so blind. And I failed it again. I passed on my fourth time, so I guess I failed 3 times. But I just wanted to make sure I stayed persistent in my journey because I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right.
This is huge, especially for people who are listening and thinking about getting in real estate and hearing that, one of these agents, took 4 times to pass. It wasn't the test, that's the career.
Yeah.
Like this goes to prove let's talk about your success a little bit. You've been doing it since February. You've now sold 2 properties.
2 properties.
You
I
have
got
2 other listings right now.
Yeah.
You have a connection base. Your social media is going crazy. That social butterfly thing's paying off in your social media stuff. It goes to show you the test was just the entry point. It isn't the career.
Yeah. It's just the first hump that you got to get over.
Yeah, exactly. So don't ever get discouraged in those little milestones.
Don't let this, for any of you guys listening out there, don't let this sway your studying habits, but you don't use 95% of what's on the test.
Exactly. You're not
supposed to say that.
Just saying.
I'll cut
Just
this part out.
get over that first hump and know that the real work
There you
begins
go.
and what you're
It
studying
does.
actually begins after that. You
So
just got to get the piece of
Great
paper.
point, because you're how you do your contracts, the negotiation, the building your marketing, the talking to people, the getting your community presence. It's not in the test taking.
Absolutely.
It just isn't.
No, it's
So.
not.
And to Bill's point earlier with the support group around me, like every time I failed, like Lauren would buy me a coffee. She'd be like, "I believe in you.
Yeah.
You can do this." But like
Exactly.
seriously, like
Yeah.
her support really meant the world to me, and I knew that she wanted to see me succeed.
Yeah.
And Also, I had a really good conversations with her that she would, build me up and make me feel like I can do this. So big thanks to Lauren. And then also seeing Bill's work ethic. We talk about you at home all the time.
Hopefully that's not creepy.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, that's
Well,
awesome.
Daniel would come home and say, I was listening to Bill talk on his cold calls today.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
No, like
Because, I
seriously,
mean,
I really every time I hear you pick up the phone, I stop what I'm doing and I'm taking mental notes about what you're.
So agents that are out there that are not investing time in office, you're missing out. That goes to not just Aborn. That's just brokerages and agents in general. Be around your team. Be around other people with different levels of experience.
Yeah.
Because you're either teaching somebody because of what you already know, or you're learning from somebody who has more experience. It's very, very valuable to be in office conversations and around other people.
I agree with that.
So.
Yeah, you listen. You listen and you learn for sure.
I mean, I would say Bill was also probably a big part of, wanting me to better myself and get a work ethic like his, because I know I've seen his success. So I want to match that.
Right.
So, but social media aspect, it's hard. Being a weird, goofy guy on Instagram, going and touring these properties, you don't think means a lot, but like people see it, and people like that. You're not just another realtor, cookie cutter realtor.
There you go.
Showing houses. You're trying to put your own fun spin onto it.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and you got that in spades, man.
I appreciate it.
You're knocking that out the park. And what I like what you've done is for anybody listening, if you're in real estate or thinking about real estate, it seems silly at first to follow other realtors.
Yeah.
Because you're like, that's my competition. Well, don't follow the realtor at the brokerage next door.
Right.
Follow the one in Utah, LA,
Yeah.
Chicago. But they're going through the same struggles.
Absolutely.
And watch what they do. And if you like what they do, put your own spin on it.
There you
Do
go.
it. Everybody's always like, I can't think. How do you come up with ideas? Well, there's a million. My algorithm is full of nothing. I don't even have to follow the realtors.
crazy.
My algorithm's trained to real estate.
Right,
And I
absolutely.
see a video and go, oh, man, I really like what he did. I could do it. I could put the El Dorado County or Sac County spin
Absolutely.
on it.
Absolutely.
And my own tweaks to it and just recreate it.
Yes.
And the chances of that guy seeing it are slim to none. Like I said, I follow realtors from Utah, New York,
Yeah.
LA. Now, I wouldn't do it if an El Dorado County realtor posted a video. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. I'm going to jump right on that. Probably not the best idea, but there's no shortage of great ideas out there.
Absolutely.
And the well will run dry. It's tough. And it depends on what's going on in the market. You'll be sitting there and going, I can only tell people so much to hang on, and it's going to be okay.
Right.
Because it will. It always does. We all know the real estate market goes up and down.
Yes.
And it's swinging back up again. It's coming. But you can only say that so many times. So what other information are you going to give out, and how?
Yeah.
And all you got to do is go to Instagram or TikTok and hashtag
find
real
it.
estate.
You'll find what you need.
There's no shortage. Or YouTube, whatever your poison is. Pick your
Right.
poison.
Yep.
It's out there, and you're nailing that, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Absolutely nailing it.
Thank you. But yeah, social media. We ended up me and Kyle actually, because Kyle also has
Our
recently
marketing.
got his
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's right.
Got his
Kyle's got his
marketing
real estate
guru.
license. That's right.
Very new.
Yeah, very very new. But we got put into this little young realtor group chat. So
Right.
shout out to those guys in
Yeah.
the group chat. But they have been also really amazing because they've grown their social media following crazy, and I know that they're doing deals left and right, and they're our age, so they really also they drive my passion to want to succeed.
For all of our agents throughout the month, when you're building relationships with your farms, your sphere of influence, and stuff like that, set up appointments to have coffees with other agents.
Yeah.
I mean, within our office, other agents that you look up to. I know that's what you did, Daniel, with your group, which I think is fantastic. And it was amazing to find out. But my thing was, I wonder how much they're going to actually share with you.
Yeah,
And lo and behold,
he really opened up.
he was wanting to share everything. And I'm like, okay, that's really cool.
I think we see that a lot with newer agents too, myself included, is that you got these rose-colored lenses. You're like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm going to get my license. I'm going to do a deal right away.
Right.
And then, things change. And then you're like, oh, gosh, man. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I lost 3 of my clients. They're not buying anymore, you know?
I showed them 20 homes, and now they're saying they want to wait.
And I'm like,
Yes.
"Ah," you know, and there's that cyclical,
Yeah.
almost emotional roller coaster
Yes.
that you're riding.
Yeah.
But unless you have that system or that work ethic that you guys have just in place, ready to go,
Yeah.
you're gonna. I mean, it's not gonna last.
Yeah, pipeline,
sure.
pipeline,
100%.
funnel.
Yeah.
You've got to keep filling it, because if you're waiting on the one thing that you put in there to drip out, and when it doesn't, for one reason or another, they change their mind, finances change, the economy change, whatever it is,
Yeah.
you have nothing in there. So the game is always filling the pipeline, always filling the funnel, because then you're accounting for those changes in people's lives. They're not the only thing you were counting on. You're always filling that pipeline of, connecting with people and talking to people about what you do and what's going on in the market and how you can help them and serve them and be a resource for them and all of that stuff. So.
Yeah, it never ends, and that's the beauty of real estate. It's the beauty of Aborn Powers. You don't come in empty-handed. Aborn Powers does provide leads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have lead generation services. When I started, it was Zillow.
Yep.
Now we've switched to Realtor.com, but and those leads get spread out, and sometimes leads come straight through property management.
Yeah, I was going to say that's a big thing, Bill, because a lot of brokerages are just real estate brokerages.
Yep.
Aborn Powers is a property management company, a residential sales company. It's a commercial lease and sales company. So, I mean, the opportunity for leads that we get from property management, I mean, having the owners that we have that are either expanding their portfolio, selling off some of their portfolio, those leads have come in and have benefited all of our agents.
Absolutely.
100%.
Which, again, because the industry standard, the national average, and I'd say I think it's even for California specifically, is your first deal once you're licensed, you're not in escrow for the first 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
That's like the average.
And to every person, that's very daunting to
That's a
think about.
daunting thing to think about. So you got into yours within
A month or so.
a month.
Yeah.
Bill, I think yours was pretty quick too.
It was I think a couple of months,
Couple
maybe,
months
but
in.
it was a Zillow lead.
Yeah, it was
from
a lead.
Realtor.com.
Exactly.
And my first listing came from Carol, who's now a realtor with us. But at the time, she was working in property management, and her friends wanted to sell their home.
Yep.
And she referred me.
Yep.
That was my very first listing. And then we did a just listed and just sold campaign.
That's right.
And I got another home from that.
Yeah. So going back to support, what we do for all of our agents is we as a company pay for a just listed, just sold campaign. So if we have an agent who's got a listing, we pay for a nicely created, mailed to the farm area around the listing to help the community know that the home is for sale.
It's
who
like
it's
a
being sold
glossy
by.
8x10 postcard.
Yeah, it's a giant one, and then when you sell the property, when it gets sold, we do another round.
Yeah.
So they see the success portion of what was being listed.
Yeah.
Right.
And it was funny because the one you're talking about, they had saw that was you only sold one home,
Yes.
but because they got that postcard,
Yeah.
they viewed you as the area
Top realtor.
expert.
Yes,
right.
I was the expert on that street.
On that street.
Yeah, and it just, you know what? They only lived there a couple years.
Yeah.
And normally someone like that, I wouldn't even reach out to. I go, oh, they bought in 2022. They're not going to want to sell.
Yeah.
But it was coming off quarantine. They bought
Yep.
their dream home, and guess what? They wanted them to go back to work in the Bay Area.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to commute to San Francisco from Placerville every
Yeah.
day. And they wanted to sell their home. It just goes to show you never know.
You never know. And new agents get it's and part of it's our culture, but it's the immediate gratification. It's the I did one thing. Where's the result?
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And like you just said, you just never know. So you just keep doing and building the equity
Yeah.
in what you do, and then at some point when that funnel's up to here, it starts to drip out, and that's the. If there's a formula to real estate, that's really what it is.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So-
used to send mailers. I would look, oh, they bought only a year ago. I'm not going to mail to them. Now, I don't even look at that anymore. After that happened,
Yeah.
everybody's getting a mailer.
Everyone's getting
Everybody's getting a you just moved in last week? You're
You're-
getting a mailer. You're getting a mail. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. So you never know.
The
Yeah.
Oprah Winfrey. You get a mailer.
Yeah,
You get a mailer.
that's right. Everybody gets a mailer. That's right.
If
man.
you look under your seat right
Right
now,
there,
there's a
get
mailer.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. The stories are. What's a challenge you could help other people maybe understand is out there, and then maybe how to overcome it?
Well, I'd say the biggest challenge right now are the interest rates, where they are. They are coming down, But what's happening is people are waiting. They're waiting for a certain number. And you can explain to them all day long that, listen, what I've been trying to tell people right now, what I'm trying to communicate at this moment, I actually want to make a video for it. I haven't done that yet. That right now is the best time to buy a home.
Absolutely.
It's the best time to buy a home. There is quite a bit of inventory right now, depending on the area you're looking in. The areas I'm working in, there's a lot of inventory and not a lot of buyers.
Yep.
So there's a lot less competition, and price reductions, price improvements are happening every day.
Right.
And the people that are selling now absolutely must have to sell, and they're willing to negotiate.
Yep. Marry the house, but date the rate. So
Date
for
the
any
rate.
of you that are listening out there, now is the time to buy because you won't have a lot of competition.
Absolutely.
Once those come down, you're gonna have to have to raise your offer, skyrocket that offer, and you're gonna be paying over ask.
These people are thinking, when?
Right.
It's not a question of will the interest rates come down. It's
Just
when will they
how
come
long
down?
do I have to date this?
So that's the thing. I don't want to date this monster for 2 years.
right?
You know,
It's a fair.
yeah.
It's a fair. It's a
and
fair
I
thing,
understand that, and you have to be understanding to their feelings and their needs. I
100%.
can understand the finances not being there, and that
Yeah.
mortgage payment's going to be too tight. I get it, and then that's where the nurture thing comes in, where you're just
Absolutely.
like, "Hey, I'm here. I'm
Just keep an eye
always
on
gonna
it.
be
I'll-
I'm always going to be a resource to you.
Yep.
Don't hesitate to reach out anytime. I send them properties. I go, hey, lots of new properties on the market, but I really think 112 Main Street checks a lot of boxes.
Yeah.
Take a look.
Right.
And they go, thanks, Bill, I will.
Right.
And then I
That's
do it
good.
again next week. Yeah.
So I think for the new agents, and in that particular point that you're making, is especially as a new agent, nurture.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Consistency.
You've got to be consistent in
boils
talking
down
to
to
your
that.
to your database.
Yeah.
There's going to be markets like we're in now where there is a lot of question marks.
Yes.
Right. And so we've got to be able to listen to that, be a resource to that, be empathetic to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are not used car salesman here. Not that that's a
No.
bad thing for used car salesmen. So let me just clarify. I mean, there's just this. We want people to find their dream home.
Right.
We want people to love their home.
Yes.
We want them to be excited about the process.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to be informative. We want to be resourceful. We want to be able to be empathetic to their needs. But nurturing them is how that works. What advice would you give a newly licensed agent?
I would say, don't be afraid to jump in feet first.
Yeah.
Take care of the work, and the work will take care of you. At some point. If you are a young agent, this is for those young agents, new agents out there, specifically young agents who might not have any bills, still living at home. You have room to fail.
Yeah.
You don't have any major
good.
things in your life right now that you are needing to take care of. No, you're not taking care of a family, not taking care of kids. So you have room to fail. So really take the time now while you're young to better yourself and project yourself to jump way more far in your career than you would have.
It's true.
I like all of that. And what I like about your situation is I remember being in high school and career days and job fairs. I don't remember one real estate company coming through those.
Right.
I don't either. That's a good point.
No one ever thinks about that as an
No.
option. 'Cause
I
everyone,
had no clue.
Right.
Zero.
I think a lot of people think, you got to go to college for X amount of years. You got to
Yeah.
do this. You got to do that. And then come to find out, no, to be completely honest with you guys out there in podcast world, is that for about $250, you can get your curriculum.
Yeah.
The test is another, $80 to $100 or something like
It
that.
was like $80.
Yeah.
Very low risk, but
For one of the potential biggest rewards.
yeah, I mean, huge reward. And a lot of reasons people get into real estate is you're building your own business, you're building your own brand, you have flexibility in your schedule. It's yours.
I love the fact that I get to say as a 20-year-old in this world that I own my own real estate business.
Right.
Yes, it's under the Aborn umbrella,
Yes.
but I own my own
Yeah,
business.
this is
Yes.
it's your career.
It's my
Yeah.
career.
You
that
are
I
the
own.
business.
Yeah.
That's
You
what
are
we
the
were
business.
talking
I
about.
am my own CEO.
You are the product.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
And-
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I love
awesome.
that.
Man. Yeah. I would say I like you coming from the new angle
Yeah.
and talking about young people that you've got the safety net. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I'll come at it from a little bit older angle.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Quite a bit older. I think to talk to any agents out there, if you're thinking about it and you're not right out of high school and you're older, the beauty of this gig too is that you can have a job.
Yes.
And still do this. I do. I
Yep.
do have a night job. I found a job that caters to my schedule so that I can still be a real estate agent and still get some health benefits and bring some money in. And that's the beauty of this career.
That's good.
Is that you can do that. Don't be afraid to be a part-time realtor.
Yeah.
If you've got a full-time gig. But here's the thing, and my advice would be, it's okay to be a part-time realtor, but you've just got to do something real estate oriented every day.
Yes. Yeah.
Even if you're starting small, maybe you just make 2 phone calls every day. It doesn't, maybe you're not putting in 8 hours every single day, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. But if you're not thinking about real estate at least every single day, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
It will be a problem.
Good point.
But listen, if you've got a full-time job and at my age, you've got a mortgage, you've got kids, you've got responsibilities and bills that you can't turn your back on.
Yeah.
Get it. I'm there. I'm right there with you. Amen. I
Fight the power.
I feel your pain. I'm here. I'm here for you.
Yeah.
Do that. But that's the beauty of real estate. You're going to meet people at your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I am now at my night job the real estate guy. I'm the only one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and on our lunch breaks, there's a gym in there, and we work out. And I can't tell you how many times I got to stop the treadmill and go, so interest rates are about 6.5 right now. So Bill, what does it mean? How much? If I sell my house for $400,000, how much will I get?
You're like, come on, it's 1 a.m.
And I'm like, well, listen, you know, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
the real estate
absolutely.
guy at my job. I'm the real estate guy when I go to the dog park. You can have a full-time job, but just remember, you're always the real estate guy or
You
girl.
are, yeah.
Yeah.
You're always the real estate person. Let's
There
keep
you
it
go, there
PC.
you go.
No matter where you are, matter where you are,
Absolutely.
you're a real estate agent.
As far as joining Aborn, being a part of the Aborn team, then when it comes to the support and team that you have, what do you guys like about Aborn that has helped you be successful in the short time that you guys have been real estate agents?
I think I mentioned it before. I've gotten several leads and listings in-house. Those first couple of years from Lauren has given me multiple.
You know, the support I have here, I feel like I wouldn't want it any other way. I've already had one lead given to me from property management, which was a great experience. Lauren, again, is, I feel like, you know, one of the best. Her character is one of the best I've ever seen out of anyone that owns a business.
Yeah.
She wants to see everyone who works for her succeed.
That's
Absolutely.
And again, like just around the other agents in the office, I feel like I could call them whenever I needed to get advice or piggyback ideas off of. So just again, like to my point earlier, the family aspect of Aborn is something that I really find value in.
Well, thanks, guys, for joining us today. I think that was a fantastic episode. Honestly, it's an hour and a half of just pure gold.
Absolutely. Appreciate you having me here, boys.
Yeah,
It was good talking
thanks
with you.
for having us.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
I'm really glad we got you guys in to share, because I mean, you guys that's the raw, reality of real estate, and I love that. I love that. You can hear a lot of, as Kyle said, rose-colored, stories of what's going on out there, but this, this is the beautiful aspect of what it can be, what it should be. So to another episode of the Mudroom.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Looking
thanks
forward
for
to the
joining
next one.
us, guys.
Yes.
We'll see you in the next episode.